GDP is down 1.9%. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this article right here. So, economic activity decreased 1.9% in the September quarter. Are we going to head into another recession? Is this the gift from Omicron? So, Australian gross domestic product fell 1.9% in seasonally adjusted chain volume terms in the September quarter of 2021 and was up 3.9% throughout the year, according to figures released by the ABS. Acting head of national accounts at the ABS, Sean Crick, said domestic demand drove the fall, with prolonged lockdowns across New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT resulting in a substantial decline in household spending. The fall in domestic demand was only partially offset by growth in net trade and public sector expenditure. GDP in the September quarter of 2021 was 0.2% below the December quarter 2019 pre-pandemic levels. So we can see here the fall, 1.9%, significant amount of money as well, and how household spending had a big part to play. That's where I think interest rate rises are going to have the biggest impact. We're not going to see a crash and people being forced to sell their houses. We're going to see household spending take a little cut. And then you may get some, another recession. We'll have to see what happens in 2022, guys. These are the in thing now. We've had our first recession in 28 years. Could we get another one? Would this be a double dip recession? It probably would if we had another one here. Private demand detracted 2.4% from GDP, with a 4.8% fall in household final consumption expenditure. Household spending on services fell 5.8%, while falls in hotels, cafes and restaurants, recreation, culture and transport services. Household spending in New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT fell 8.4% compared to the other states, which rose 0.7%. Public demand contributed 0.7 points to GDP growth, with increases in health-related spending in response to the spread of COVID-19 Delta variant. Public investment fell slightly, but remained at elevated levels as public infrastructure projects continued. Net trade also contributed to growth. Exports of mining and rural commodities rose, reflecting global demand for coal, LNG and meat products. Imports of goods fell, reflecting continued global supply constraints and a fall in domestic demand. The household savings to income ratio rose from 11.8% to 19.8%. What are people preparing for? The rise in household savings was driven by increased household income, coupled with a decline in spending. Household gross disposable income rose 4.6%, and the fastest rise since December quarter 2008. Government support payments to households and unincorporated businesses affected by COVID-19, along with increased dividend payments, contributed to the increase in household income. The household savings ratio was below the previous peak of 23.6% in June quarter 2020, when national lockdowns drove a large decline in household spending compared with this quarter, he said. So let's have a look here at the data. So the economy fell by 1.9%. GDP in nominal terms fell by 0.6%. The terms of trade rose by 0.4%, and household saving is up to 19.8 from 11.8. We can have a look here. GDP per capita. So from September to September, it's up 3.9 and 3.5%. GDP from June to September, it's down 2%. Let's have a look. Productivity is up. Real unit labor costs are up. GDP chain price index original is up. Terms of trade are up. And current price measures in GDP are up. Household savings. There you go, guys. And here we can see seasonally adjusted. Yeah, well, there you go. It's falling down. Private demand has tanked, everyone. It's tanked. This is what happens when you lock down big portions of our economy. Household spending on services declined amid lockdown restrictions. Yep. Household spending fell 4.8%, a steep decline of 12. In contrast to the steep decline of 12.1% recorded through the national lockdown. So we've fallen, but not as much as during the last lockdowns, guys. So we can see here services and goods consumption are down just in the lead up to Christmas. And here's growth in household final consumption down in the big three, New South Wales, Victoria, and ACT. And here's quarterly growth in household and government consumption by state. What else? Anything else exciting here? Not really. Now let's have a look. Agriculture and fishing is up. Accommodation and food. Hate to be in that industry, guys. They've really copped it, haven't they? Transport, arts, and other services are down. Look at those big moves. So there we have it. Wages, salaries, and employees' social contribution. Contribution to quarterly growth in COE. Current prices seasonally adjusted. We can have employees' social contribution, wages, and salaries. So they're up. So we're not seeing the drastic falls of the past. So we'll have to keep an eye on the next quarter. If Omicron leads to any lockdowns, any restrictions, could we be having a double dip recession? That may possibly happen here in Australia, guys. We may see it. Check out this video where I talk about double dip recessions and if one might materialize. Maybe. Wouldn't be surprising at all. And then, remember, we've got an election coming up. So, what goodies can they pull out of the election bag? It's going to be an interesting year. See you next time.